Hi everyone, my name is Maria Dukova, and today we're going to talk about how to measure democracy, ways and methods to frame. So, it should come as no surprise that democracy, in the case of contest and concepts, as Galli remarked already in 1955, he outlined that democracy is not only appraisive but also internally complex with different components in which necessary and sufficient conditions are discussed. Today, scholars agree that democracy is a contest concept with even contradictory definitions and understandings. Democracy, as a genetic term, that describes a variety of political systems that are signified as government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as stated in Lincoln's address. There is continuous interest in a minimal definition of the democracy, although we have seen above that different forms of democracy exist. There are certain elements that researchers perceive are shared in common. Scholars focus normally on fair and secret elections and universal franchise as minimal elements, as well as guarantee of political freedom, fairness, justice, deliberation, and additional elements. Other scholars talk about dimension, for example, like rule of law, vertical and horizontal accountability, competition, freedom and equity, equality, responsiveness, and participation have been identified. Scholars use equally different typologies or adjectives to distinguish among democracies. For example, electoral, liberal, majoritarian, participatory, deliberative, and egalitarian. Liberal democracy is discussed in great deal today. Its core elements are elections, and the choice between alternatives, representation with binding rules based on equity, pluralism, and tolerance, as well as freedom of association of speech, self-determination, responsibility, and the control of the government. Other forms, such as deliberative democracy, focus to a greater extent on processes, participatory democracy, or direct democratic ways to exert influence, and egalitarian conceptions or redistribution of resources. While it would be easy to choose one of these concepts of democracy, it is unlikely that a single definition can capture the multiple understanding that individuals assign the democracy in different countries. A number of civil society and academic organizations have launched projects that measure the health of democracy across the world. We actually can analyze 8 of the most widely used indicators for measuring democratic health. These projects not only offer ways to benchmark the strengths of democracy, but also insights into different ways of breaking democracy into component parts. They indicates vary greatly in their approaches, consisting of as few as 2 individual indicators and as many as 450. Taken together, they comprise a combination of quantitative assessments like the distribution of seats in the national legislature among political parties, and qualitative judgments like whether safeguards against corruption are effective. Aggregating these indicators into an index is subjective exercise recruiting the judgments of experts to identify which metrics to include and how to weight each appropriately. Measuring the state of democracy across the world helps us to understand the external to which people have political rights and freedom. But measuring how democratic country is comes with many challenges. People do not agree on what characteristics define a democracy. These characteristics, such as whether an election was free and fair, even once defined, are difficulty to access. The judgment of experts in some degree subjective, and they may disagree either about a specific characteristic or how several characteristics can be reduced into a single measure of democracy. So, how do researchers address these challenges and identify which countries are democratic or undemocratic? First is Varieties of Democracy by the VDEM project. Second is Regimes of the World by Luhmarin, which use VDEM data. Third is Lexical Index of Electoral Democracy by Shanning. Fourth is Boix Miller Rosado by Boix. And fifth is Polity by the Center of Systematic Peace. Then we have Freedom Houses, Freedom in the World. The next one is Bertelsmann Transformation Index by the Bertelsmann Foundation. And the last one is Economist Intelligence Unit's Democracy Index. So these approaches all measure democracy or a closely related aspect. They cover many countries and years and are commonly used by the researchers and policymakers. We can actually delve into this data. The main democracy measures, indicators, or specific characteristics on global and regional overviews. But actually, all the studies they do not always agree. They come to different assessments about which of two highly democratic countries like Chile and Norway is more democratic, and whether Chile is more or less democratic than it was 10 years ago. At times, they come to strongly different conclusions about countries that are neither highly democratic, non-highly undemocratic, such as Nigeria today or United States in the 19th century. So this question is always will be popular because I think all the studies will not agree how actually to measure democracy. So that's all for today. Thank you and bye.